Hi everyone, Melissa here. I'm back with another video, and this week I'm really excited about the topic because I'm going to talk about something that comes up a lot in coaching calls, and also I see this with our subscribers a lot, and that is how to get rid of or stop negative thoughts. So if you are someone who feels overwhelmed with negative thoughts, you feel like they're intrusive, you feel like it's really hard for you to change your story about whatever it is you're trying to manifest, you feel like it's just really easy to spiral in negative, contrary thoughts, this video is for you. I have tons of tips and tricks I'm going to share in this video, and I intend that this helps you to finally be able to break free from those negative thoughts and stop them in their tracks, shut them down right away. So before I get into the video, I just want to remind you that I'm available for one-on-one coaching. You can find the link for that in the description of this video. And if you need help with your specific circumstances, even after this video, if you're still struggling with some negative thoughts, or you're just unsure of how to go about manifesting something you want, I would love to work with you and help you. So check out the link in the description for coaching. And if you are someone who prefers self-study at your own pace, I have some great courses. I think one of my favorites is my self-concept course, how to create and maintain an incredible self-concept, which is really important in manifesting basically anything you want, and just in general to have a really enjoyable experience in your reality. And then I also have some affirmation bundles, money challenge, a bunch of different things. So link for coaching and courses in the description of this video. Okay, let's talk about how to get rid of negative thoughts. Okay, so the first tip I want to share is, and these are things that have helped me. I use a bunch of these for myself, and I share this with my clients too. So this is a compilation of things that just throughout my manifesting journey I've figured out, and I want to share that with you. Okay. So the first tip is okay, so when you're in the middle of thinking a negative thought or spiraling or triggered, stop, notice it. That's the first step is to all of this, is just notice that you're thinking this way, and then remind yourself, you don't have to believe every thought you have. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it has to be true. It's just an idea. However it popped in your mind, it's just an idea. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to sit there and marinate in it. And you certainly do not have to continue to think it. You always have a choice. So the first choice is, do I want to believe this thought? I'm thinking it, but do I want to believe it? Am I going to choose to believe it? So that's the first thing, is just remind yourself, just because you think it doesn't mean you have to believe it. You do not have to believe every thought you have. Then the next thing is, and reminding yourself that you don't have to believe it helps with this next tip, is take the importance away from the negative thought. So how I like to do that is, the thought will come up and I will be like, well, that's silly. That's ridiculous. Why am I even caring about that? And I like, the way my mind works is, when I'm trying to change a story about something, or when I'm noticing I'm believing in something and I don't really like that thought, I will argue with myself for why a better thought is true instead, for why what I want is true instead, for why that negative thought is just completely ridiculous. And the cool thing about that technique, and why I really like it, is when you start to think anything different, your mind introduces more like thoughts. So let's say the negative thought is, I'm broke. I'm going to be broke forever. Okay. That thought feels really bad. First of all, do I want to believe that thought? I don't have to believe every thought I think. That certainly doesn't feel like a good thought to want to believe. So no, I'm going to choose not to believe that thought. And then I'm going to take it, the emotional importance, the importance I'm giving it. I'm going to take away the emotions that I'm attaching to it. That thought feels very heavy and like I'm trapped and like sad and miserable and limited, right? That's a very limiting thought. So how am I going to take the importance away from it? Well, I'm going to logic my way into why that thought is completely ridiculous. Okay, well, maybe today in this now moment, it doesn't seem like I have a lot of money, but it's ridiculous to think that I will always be broke. It's ridiculous to think that money will never come to me again. It's ridiculous to think that there's no way I could ever make money, that it's impossible for me to ever become wealthy or abundant or wealthier than I am in this moment. So see how I'm creating reasons why that thought seems less believable and less realistic, and why I don't resonate with it, and reasons why it's silly. I'm taking the importance away from it. I'm not giving it power, okay? And it's an illusion to even think that you're giving thoughts power, because they're just an idea, and you always have the power. Your power is your perception. So if you choose to think that your negative thoughts always have power over you, that's what you're going to experience in your reality. If you choose to think that it's just an idea and I don't need to believe in it and something better could be true, that's what's going to play out in your experience. So taking the importance away from it and reminding myself that I don't have to believe it if I don't want to. And I like to also remind myself that, well, if it's possible that I'm going to be broke forever, then it's also possible that I'm going to be rich forever, because everything has its opposite, right? So that gets me to my next tip that I like to share is I remind myself, or my clients, I tell them this too, if you can think negatively so much about something to the point where you feel bad, then it's also possible and true that you can think positively about something so much that you feel good. And in both cases, your circumstances are going to reflect whatever story you're thinking. So if I could think negative and dwell on the negative and then only perceive and experience the negative, then I can certainly also think positive, dwell on the positive, and only experience and experience the positive in my reality. So neither one is more true than the other. The negative thought is no more true than the positive thought. It's just my choice. Which one am I going to hang out with? Which one am I going to attach my emotion to? Which one am I going to attach my truth to? Which one am I going to pick and say, yep, that's for me. That's right. That's right. So if you're thinking negative, you can also think positive. If you feel like it's super easy for you to think negative thoughts, guess what? That means it can be super easy for you to think positive thoughts. You always have a choice, and there's always an opposite. You know, everything has its opposite. So logic your way out of that negative thought that way. Like, just because this feels impossible right now because I'm just thinking about this so much in such a bad way, and I'm making everything mean that happened in the past and everything mean that's happening now, or what I'm not seeing now. I'm making everything mean that I can't have what I want, and that what I want is not possible and true. That's not actually the truth unless I continue to put my belief there, unless I continue to choose to agree with that thought. I can just as easily think better and get better, okay? Get better experiences. So it's just as easy for you to think about the news story. You're just telling yourself it's not, because you're focusing on negative and you're making everything mean negative. Another tip, this one I really like, and this can be a good one to just shut it down right away. Like, nope, not going to happen. Nope. When you catch yourself thinking negatively or like limiting about whatever it is you're manifesting, physically get up and start doing something else. Pick anything else. If you're sitting down, stand up and walk around. Go do the dishes. Go for a walk. Go pet your cat. Go open the door and breathe some fresh air. Do some jumping jacks. Make a phone call. Turn on a TV show. To open a book. It doesn't matter what it is, but do an activity completely unrelated to whatever it is you were thinking. Distract you're shifting your attention to something completely different. That naturally will shut down the thought for a moment because you're focusing on the activity you're doing. So physically change what you're doing in the moment you're thinking that thought so that you can just break that thought pattern real quick. And then when you're doing that activity, You'll start to feel better. You'll be focusing on something else. Then you can start inserting your new story. You can start affirming something that aligns with your desire, affirming the opposite of whatever that negative thought was. But get up and do something different so that you're changing, you're shifting your focus. Let's see. Okay, and then in the same, this is similar to this last tip, but there's only ever the present moment. There's only ever now. So when you're dwelling in negative thoughts, you're bringing that into your present moment, which means you're not really paying attention to what's going around you. You're not actually enjoying what you're experiencing. So to stop that negative pattern, actually be present. Like, what are you doing right now in this moment where you're thinking that negative thought? Take a minute, pay attention to your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Focus on your breathing. Focus on your feet touching the ground. Focus on, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Touch your hair, touch your wrist, touch the table. Whatever it is you're doing in the moment where maybe you're driving, be in the present moment. Focus on holding, the steering wheel in your hands and the road you see in front of you. That is shifting your focus to present moment. That's shutting down that negative thought because you're occupying your attention on something else. So directing your attention back to the present moment, always a great tip. And the other reason why I really like that so much is it's only ever now. You can only ever experience now. When you're thinking about the past, you're still thinking about something that you're thinking about a memory, but you're bringing it into your present moment. So that past remains true in every present moment that you remember it that way. But you're always only ever experiencing the present moment. So that's also super motivating for myself and for a lot of clients when I remind them that every present moment is a moment to change your story. Every present moment is a moment to think a better thought. And when you do that, your manifestation is immediately beginning to unfold. You just get in the way sometimes because you have a negative thought and you think it's not happening, or you think there's no proof, or you think there's no movement, mental obstacle, mental resistance, whatever it is. And then it doesn't manifest because you've stopped allowing it by assuming that it's not working. But because you can only perceive in the present moment, because it's only ever now, the second you think a thought right now, you're already back on track. The second you think a better thought, you're back on track. It doesn't matter if you spiraled and had negative thoughts for 2 days straight. The second you change that, the second you think a better thought, you've already got your manifestation back on track. Okay? Because it's only ever now and your perception is everything. So don't get discouraged if you get triggered for a couple days or a few hours. It's not going to ruin anything unless you decide to tell yourself it's going to ruin something, and then you've just created another story you have to change. But every now moment is a time where you can think about our thought, and then you're right back on track. Okay, let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, so something else that's really helpful for some people is, and this is kind of similar to kicking yourself back into the present moment, is have an item that, or like an action that literally snaps you back. It's your signal to snap back into a better thought, to snap out of that negative thought. So for some clients, if they wear like a hair tie around their wrist and they catch themselves thinking a negative thought, I'll tell them, snap it against your wrist. Not so that you hurt yourself, but you're literally snapping yourself out of it. That's your reminder. Oh, no, not thinking that way anymore. That's not true. That's ridiculous. This is what's true instead. And then you affirm your new story. So you're literally picking an action. Maybe for you, it's snapping your fingers. Maybe it's blinking. Maybe it's whistling. Maybe it's stomping your feet. It can be anything, but pick an action that it can be your literal, like, wait, stop, hold up, break that thought pattern, change that thought, not true, this is what's true instead, and then pick your new story. So an action. So whether or not you're physically getting up and doing something different, if you have some kind of little signal to you that equals, hold up, changing my story, changing my attention, changing my focus, this is what this means, snapping out of it, that can be really helpful. Let's see what else I got. The next one is, and then I guess this will be my last tip. Let me just make sure I covered them all here. Okay, yeah. So my last big tip, and this is always such a good one. If nothing else, go back to the basics. Remind yourself who you really are, which is not just somebody that life happens to, which is not just a character in this 3D reality. You are the consciousness behind it all. You are the awareness behind it all. You are the meaning maker of everything. You are the ultimate perceiver. You are I am. You are the one who defines what I am is, she is, he is, they are, it is. You're the one who defines that. You're the one who always completes that sentence constantly, never ending. You are the constant I am. So go back to the basics. Read up on quantum physics. Read up on how conscious creation works, how manifesting works. Read some Neville Goddard. Listen to one of his lectures. Read some Joseph Murphy. There's so many great authors out there. Those are my two favorites. But remind yourself, your thoughts create. Your imagination creates reality. Your perception is everything. Your perception is your power. So just remind yourself, snap yourself out of the illusion that these 3D circumstances are permanent and horrible and never changeable. Snap yourself out of the illusion. This is your story and you're constantly writing it via your thoughts and assumptions. So that means that you have the power in every moment to change it, to change your thoughts, which changes your experience, which changes your circumstances. And actually, I'll leave you with one more tip. So when you are thinking something negative or stuck in a negative spiral, ask yourself, how can I assume literally anything better right now? Any better thought? How can I assume anything better? How can you assume anything better than what you're thinking right now? Because when you assume better, you get better. When you assume better, you get experiences and circumstances that equal your better assumption, that reflect your better assumption. So how can I assume anything better right now? And if you can't think of anything, go general. Somehow, some way, everything's going to work out okay. Somehow, some way, I'm getting what I want. Somehow, some way, this is all going to turn out to be how I want it to be. This is all going to turn out great. This is always working in my favor. I can manifest what I want. It's possible to manifest what I want, even if I can't figure it out right now, even if I can't see how it could possibly happen, no matter what happened in the past, even if I think the circumstances that happened were just the worst, even if I thought that it could never change, even if, it doesn't matter. But give yourself something, some kind of better assumption, anything. And then you've already started your brain thinking from that perspective. So it's going to introduce more thoughts like that. And then pretty soon, you're not going to get stuck in negative thought cycles. They're going to come up pretty few, very infrequently. And when they do, you're prepared. You have become that master manifester from that experiencing reality from that indifferent observer perspective, which is the sweet spot, because you experience a circumstance, you don't immediately react to it, think it's the worst thing ever, spiral into negative thoughts, or just experience something and spiral into negative thoughts, or you don't immediately go to a negative meaning for anything. You notice it, you observe your reality, and then you pick and choose. What would I prefer here? What am I going to choose to make this mean? How am I going to choose to perceive this? How am I going to choose to think about this? What am I going to choose to decide is true about this? And then you let your thoughts align with that preference. And the negative thoughts just don't come up so much. And when they do, you're prepared. So I intend this video is your new toolbox for when you have negative thoughts. There's so many ways you can shut it down, but just remember, you're always the power behind everything, not the thought, because your power is how you perceive the thought, the meaning you give the thought, the label you give the thought, the assumption you make about the thought, because that leads to your feelings and your beliefs. And when you experience circumstances, you're going to experience them from the perspective of whatever it is you're assuming about it. So just remember, the thoughts don't get to have power over you unless you let them. And they don't get to mean that you can't have what you want unless you let them. And they don't get to linger unless you let them. When you notice it, kick it out. It doesn't pay rent in your mind. It doesn't get to hang out there for free. Kick it out. Kick it out. Don't allow it to stick around if you don't like it. You're the boss, not the thought. Okay? All right. I think that's it for this video. I intend it helps you. And if you need any extra help or just would love to talk about your specific circumstances and how to navigate them and manifest what you want, I'm here for coaching. You can find the link in the description of this video. And I intend you have an amazing rest of your week. And I'll see you in the next one.